Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to start with a warm welcome and thank you for attending our presentation today. It is an honor for us to stand in front of you to deliver this presentation. The topic of our presentation is sexual abuse on national school students in Sarawak. As we know that sexual abuse is one of the top development issues in our country, it is crucial for us to uncover and analyze this topic. Hopefully, this presentation will be able to examine sexual abuse on students in national schools in Sarawak and to explore the significance of development of sexual education in reducing sexual abuse in national schools. In this presentation, we will cover three main points of our research project. The first one is on the introduction and the background of our development issue, which is sexual abuse, the findings of our survey that we have distributed, and finally, the discussions is on the theories that we have picked. So that will be the overall structure of our presentation, and now let us move on to the next part. Before I pass the floor to Theodora, firstly, I would like to introduce myself and my group members. We are from Group 15 and I am Grace Charles. Here with me I have Theodora Michelle, Nini Ardini and Broxton Podine.
What is sexual abuse? Sexual abuse is a restricted sexual violence. The term abuse can be described as a manifestation of a sexual abuse on the victim without the victim's consent. It is estimated that a majority of 19% of women experiencing sexual abuse worldwide. In Malaysia itself, about 1 out of 10 children are sexually abused, and in most cases, the perpetrator and those who are known to the victims. Thus, it is important to address that sexual abuse on children is one of the top development issues as more and more children are exploited.
The finding will conclude demographics of the respondent, research objective 1 and 2. And as for the demographics, a total of 33 female have answered the questionnaire, followed by male with 7 respondents. Sarawak Bumiputra has the highest number of ethnicity of respondents with 24 people, and most of the respondents were located in Kuching. A total of 37 respondents have attended national school, while 3 respondents have not. 2 research objectives was considered for this study. The first one is to examine the sexual abuse on students in national school in Sarawak, and the second one is to explore the significance of the development of sexual education in reducing sexual abuse in national school. One of the questions that were asked in the questionnaire was, have you ever been sexually abused in school? From the data obtained, 24 respondents out of 40 respondents responded that they have been sexually abused in school, while 16 respondents stated that they have never experienced such thing. Besides that, in order for the respondent to answer our second research objective, the question, do you think that sex education is important, were asked. Surprisingly, all 40 respondents agreed that sex education is important. Some of them think that sex education can give people knowledge about sex as well as improving their attitudes.
Sustainable development theory highlights the condition where development will be able to achieve or meet the needs of the present without jeopardizing the ability of the generations in the future to meet their own needs. This means that development in this sense would be able to sustain the present condition in order to facilitate the conditions of the future. The light green approach can be used to explain the development issue as it focuses on the improvement of mankind as well as its standards of living together with the quality of life. However, it doesn't mean that radical changes exist in the political or economic system as they will gradually change. In analyzing the development issue through this theory, it is important to understand that the theory empowers people to help themselves. As sustainable development aims to facilitate development, this theory suggests that the government, through networking with its people, should invest in development in terms of education in order to facilitate the lives and the minds of the nation. In this case, if sex education were to be openly taught in school, it will facilitate the minds of the children in order to be more cautious and aware of the things that are happening to their body. In simpler terms, awareness is the result of education and exposure. When children are more educated on sexual activities, they will learn to not consent and to tell on their potential or present perpetrator. When education is present, the effect will be long-lasting and powerful because the key to power is knowledge. Hence, unwanted sexual activity and assault will be prevented given that there is adequate sexual education. This empowers people, especially children and women, because it includes and involves people in the community. For example, sex education classes may be taught in religious institution or community when there is no exposure in education institution. This subscribes to the idea that people in the community are actively involved in spreading awareness on sexual assault towards children. When people is actively involved, sexual assault may be prevented now that the community and public is aware of the issue. In addition, the merits of this theory describes the feeling of fulfillment, where people are now equipped with adequate knowledge, values, attributes, and skills in order to manage sexual abuse on children. For example, in Malaysia, a national school student called her physical education teacher out for making inappropriate or rape-related joke in class. This is the effect of sustainable development where education institutions do not teach a sex education in school and children knows about sex from the internet or social media. Sustainable development empowers people to fight immorality in the community. The theory also highlights non-discriminatory and it ensures people's dignity. On the other hand, the demerits of the development theory is that it is costly and too ambitious. In this case, if Malaysia were to impose mandatory sex education classes, it means that an appropriate figure or professional should be appointed for the job. As children in national schools or schools in general are easily confused with their sexuality, a person with a teaching degree may not be up to the task because it is not their specialty. Therefore, a highly trained professional such as a counselor should be appointed in order to educate minors on sex. This is to ensure that the message was conveyed in an appropriate manner to the children. If this happens, the government may need to come up with funds to facilitate the development in this area. Skimming through the Malaysian society, it is simply impossible as a sexual harassment and assault is a norm in the conservative society that would hinder development in the areas.
Second theory that used is Marxist theory of development, which is a body of doctrine produced by the Karl Marx, and it has commonalities with the models of linear stage that stress journey. This theory believes that every society goes through 6 stages of history, which are the prehistory, primitive culture, feudalism, capitalism, a proletariat dictatorship, and lastly communism or socialism. So looking at the sexual abuse issue from the Marxist theory perspective, sexual abuse can occur as a result of people's history or prior experiences being sexually assaulted. People who have been sexually abused at a young age will have the tendency to do the same thing to others because they believe it is a normal thing to do, and it does correlate with the psychological aspect where the sexual abuse has deeply traumatized and it affects them mentally. The merit of viewing the sexual abuse issue through the lens of Marxist theory of development is people may identify the reason behind every action that was made. For example, the abuser sexually abusing individuals because of previous experience of being abused when they're still teenager. Hence, by looking at this theory, the authorities can offer appropriate solution for this issue, such as give counseling for the abuser. However, there are some weaknesses or demerits of this theory, which is it can lead to bias. Some people will think that the abusive action is not wrong due to its history or they are mentally unstable, thus it can cause victim blaming. The victim will be the only one who is blamed by the society, such as they wearing revealing clothes and their behavior, etc. And it can lead to another development issue when the victim grow up.
In a nutshell, sexual abuse in national schools, specifically in Sarawak, is not a new issue. Students have been sexually abused for many years, either physically or psychologically, by the educators, school workers, or even other students. Based on research, it is safe to say that sexual abuse is real and half of the youth may be experiencing it even though perhaps not directly being touched inappropriately, but through verbal actions such as catcalling, and those traumatizing experiences can lead to social anxiety, panic attacks, or even depression. Two theories have been applied to see why this issue is occurring from different perspectives, such as a lack of sex education and previous experiences of being sexually abused. Each theory can help in finding solution for this problem. Last but not least, the importance of sex education was clearly demonstrated through the findings and theories. Hence, authorities and the general public should take sex education seriously, as it is the most effective prevention technique for reducing sexual abuse cases.